Well, let's stay with Europe, because we can now go back to the top story that we're covering, of course, and Opel's fortunes, or who's the preferred bidder. It's now been narrowed down to two. You can see him there. We're joined by our correspondent, Damien McGuinness, in Berlin. Damien, then I guess the ministers have been up all night trying to bash out. They've whittled it down to two. Now, where does it go from here? It sounds like things are getting tetchy.
Well, they are indeed. The meeting lasted 12 hours and broke down at the end without an agreement of who would in fact be the preferred bidder. Now, the German ministers came out of that meeting putting the blame squarely on the shoulders of GM and the US Treasury, saying that they came to the table suddenly with demands of an extra 0.3 billion euros of German state government aid, saying this was unacceptable. One insider said that the meeting was a disaster, and Roland Koch, who is Minister-President of Hesse, which is where Rüsselsheim is, the headquarters of Opel, he said that it was purely because of the Americans that the talks broke down. The Americans say that Germans aren't coming up with enough state aid. They want the Germans to dig deeper in their pockets, whereas the Germans say the Americans aren't giving enough guarantee as to where that money will go to and whether they'll see anything from it in the end.
Damien, it's Owen here in the studio. This, of course, must be agony if you're an Opel employee or indeed a Vauxhall employee in the UK. It seems to be just prolonging the agony for them, all this uncertainty. What will happen now?
Well, a solution really does have to be found today. After yesterday's news that GM's creditors would not back the new proposed plan by GM, it's looking more and more likely that GM could go insolvent by Monday. So Opel really needs a solution if it's going to survive at all. So far, as you mentioned earlier, there are two frontrunners who are possible preferred bidders, Fiat and Magna. However, if the system of how it's going to be financed and how much German state aid and German loan guarantees would come to is not decided on today, there's no point in having a front runner or a preferred bidder if the deal can't be sorted as to who's going to finance this. So really the meetings now are going to continue on tonight, and one can only hope that a solution will be found.
OK, Damien McGuinness, our correspondent there in Berlin.